Hey, that's only going to be left channel,
That's
but
why
I think I
start
can figure
recording right at
that
the very
out.
beginning.
I might be able to mix this down to mono, down mix to mono.
Man, Red, I was reading your reviews on the
How
Daily Grail.
those?
Fantastic work, buddy.
What?
Thanks, man.
Yeah, and your blog's fantastic. I love
Thanks.
how
Well,
I
I
love how
mean,
much effort you put into the reviews. You know.
Sometimes I think it's too much effort.
Yeah, for a review, but you bring
I
you
feel-
put a lot
I
of
feel like-
context in it. You know, put a lot of context in it, talking about your own experiences.
We
and
should
stuff,
just-
and-
You know, I bet you there's a couple books and all those blogs of yours at the Grail.
yeah.
Well, technically, it's not mine property. It's property of the Daily Grail. Same thing with Mysterious Universe.
Right.
We're still of the air, right?
No.
Okay.
No, we're not.
He hasn't started recording yet.
I haven't
though, but
started recording
We're just
yet.
live in the YouTube channel. You can't go on the
Okay.
radio, because Grim's got it tonight.
I told Grim he could have the radio. Yeah, he texted me and asked.
Aw.
Yeah, he's so cute. I'm not going to steal his Tuesday from him. I forget to turn the radio on half the fucking time. How can I steal his live night? Those guys take it serious. They got a bunch of people. No more people. More people tune in on CWS live night than any other time on that radio station. Anyway, should we do this thing?
Well, that's pretty cool that they're on the radio. I mean, that's pretty
Grimerica
cool.
FM. Yeah. I think they're the only people that still go live on there. So, share it, like it, super chat it. Are you ready, Grambo?
Yep. All right, we've got the mysterious red pill junkie back in Grimerica. It's been a while. He's the agnostic gnostic, the walking conundrum, and a metaphysical oxymoron. He's been writing for the Daily Grail, doing awesome blogs and reviews over there, and of course contributing on other podcasts as well, making his way around the UFO and paranormal phenomena. Welcome back, Red. It's good to hear you again.
Hey, man. Yeah, Darren, Graham, Michael, pleased to meet you. Yeah, it's great to be back.
Yeah, it's been a long time. It's been, I think, 4 years. So, yeah.
What? Really?
I think so. 3 for sure.
Well,
Wow.
time is an illusion, right?
Yeah,
That's
it's
right.
not-
So it doesn't even matter. It was like fucking yesterday.
All I know is
No.
it goes faster and faster the
People
older
have been.
you get.
That's right. And you're the oldest one here. So you're experiencing time much faster than the rest of us. People have been asking and asking and asking. So finally we're here. People are going to be thrilled. And yeah, welcome back, Red. So can you give us a little update on what we missed in the last 3 years of ufology?
Oof.
He's kidding. He's kidding.
Like, well, yes, definitely. It's definitely we can talk about before and after scenes in the realm of ufology from the year 2017, you know, from October 2017, when Tom DeLonge and his buddies held that recorded launch of their little venture to the Stars Academy of Science and Arts, you know,
And entertainment.
and entertainment. Yeah, let's not forget. Let's not forget they're not a UFO group, but
Right.
we'll get that.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. You know, and I remember I watched the whole thing streaming from my home, saying, "What the hell?" You know, the first time that we get to see Louis Elizondo, who has become like Mr. UFO all of a sudden. Like everybody talks about him in reverie, or they denounce him. And then after that, when we say, well, you know, that may be the end of it, we have this bomb that exploded on the New York Times on December of that same year, when they released this article describing these amazing encounters of between Navy pilots and objects that look like giant Tic Tacs and that defied what we consider the known laws of physics in terms of aerodynamics, velocities,
Propulsion.
sudden change in trajectory, and the enormous amount of g-forces that any hypothetical pilot that will be on board of it will experience. And at first, I think everybody was like, "Whoa!" And for a little while, every UFO buff out there had to have a very brief moment of "I told you so, motherfuckers." You know, I wasn't crazy after all. But then 2018 was a bit of a silent year, you know, like everybody was like expecting more amazing revelations, which really didn't happen that year. Everything started to pile up again by the beginning of this year in 2019, right around, I want to say, April of 2019. Brian Bender, who is a journalist writing for Politico, releases an article discussing how the Navy was going to release quote unquote new guidelines for the reporting of UFO sightings, right? These seem to, in response to the complaints of Navy pilots who were seeing these unidentified objects more and more. But then, and people like me and others were thinking that these announcements was a little too convenient, in the sense that it was just a month before the release of To the Stars TV series Unidentified on the History Channel.
Yeah.
Which was like, oh, well, isn't that convenient that, you know, they're talking about these guidelines just prior to this show being premiered on the History Channel in the United States, which it did. And it was interesting that after the premiere of the show, after the day after the first episode, which happened on Friday night, on Saturday, a guy, Keith Clure, who writes for the Intercept, released this article in which he put into doubt whether Louis Elizondo had been the director of this secret Pentagon program, ATIP, you know, AATIP, saying that according to Pentagon spokesperson, he didn't have any kind of like direct competence or direct involvement with that particular program. And what happened after that was interesting because here's another interesting development that has happened because of To the Stars and because of all these things. We've seen more and more that in the UFO field, there's been a rise of To the Stars sycophants. You know, sometimes I call them the fanboys just to tease them, who seem to be, you know, feel that their duty is to cheerlead everything that Tom DeLonge and To the Stars release on social media, try to promote it and propagate it on Twitter, on Facebook, whatever. And the moment that someone raises just a little bit of criticism with regards to what seems to be a hidden agenda behind To the Stars, which is, you know, just kind of like to me, a logical thing to assume, given how some of the people that are involved in that organization were part of the intelligence community, like the same intelligence community that the same intelligence community that used to be the bad guys in all the UFO conspiracy theories of the 80s and the 90s, now happen to be the good guys, you know, and everybody's supposed to just accept it.
Were those fanboys like music fans mainly, like Tom coming along with Tom DeLonge, or legitimate like UFO community people, or a mix of both?
Some of them are kind of like newcomers.
Yeah,
to the
yeah,
UFO.
that's kind of what I figured. There must be some of that.
Yeah, and they actually take pride on that, and they say, yeah, we're not going to repeat the same mistakes that the old guard, you know, did, you know, because we know what's going on. And most of us who have spent at least 20, 25 years studying this thing, we just roll our eyes and say, sure thing, buddy. Like, dude, I was you when I was in my late teens.
I was you when Bob Lazar came out of Area 51.
Exactly, you know, and the same, like, they behave when you start criticizing Tom DeLonge. I used to get really mad when people started to criticize Bob Lazar, the Santilli alien autopsy video.
Yeah,
you know, I used to be that guy. So part of me understands it, but the other part of me gets really annoyed when these guys don't seem to be in the position to try to take any of the criticism from the old guard, saying, hey guys, we've seen this before, over and over and over. People who have promised us, quote unquote, disclosure so many times, when the mainstream media deigns to pay attention to the UFO phenomenon, and everybody thinks, oh my God, that's it. You know, like Time Magazine published an article about Roswell in 1997. Oh my God, this means that disclosure is at hand. And, you know, more than 20 years later, it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. Well, unless you think that 2017 date, like you mentioned, it was 2 years ago coming up. Like, do you think is there a before and after to that date? I mean, are we going to look back in 5 years and go, like, that was when it started, you know, the small d disclosure started?
Well, it would be arrogant of me to deny it and say, no, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be.
Yeah.
I have to concede the possibility that it could be. On the other hand, it could be that here's the thing with disclosure. Disclosure means something totally different for each person.
Yeah.
You know, I was listening to Grant Cameron's interview with John Greenwald Jr. for the Black Bolt just earlier today. And you know Grant, you know, he's kind of like a Gatling gun on information. Pa, 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 pa. He can barely keep up. One of the things that really impressed me is when he says, okay, in my opinion, these guys already gave us disclosure, but it's not what people expected, because they're just saying, look, yeah, these things are real. Our pilots have seen it. We have video of it, and that's it. But everybody's like, wait a minute, you know, but where are the pickled aliens that you have in some kind of like secret facility? Where are the crash saucers that Bob Lazar talked about? Where are your evidence of the secret deals that you have made with all these alien races that are part of the Galactic Federation and all of that? when what President Eisenhower agreed to them to abduct people in exchange of technology. You know, where's all that? Where I want my 0-point energy vehicle, damn it. And according to Grant Cameron, he says, sorry, dude, you know, that's all we get. And part of me thinks that there's something to that idea, that all these stories that started to erupt in the field of ufology in the late 70s, in the 80s, and then, you know, took over the field completely by the 90s, about crashed saucers and about alien bodies recovered and all of that. All of these stories seem to have originated from the intelligence world, you know, in one capacity or other. And all these people, even people in the know, even people with intelligence connections, wanted to find out. You know, people like Hal Puthoff, Kit Green, Jacques Vallée, for example, who have friends in the know. All these, John Alexander too, all these players heard all these rumors. Oh yes, there's some UFO program running somewhere. They never managed to find anything concrete. And whatever they found is that most of those secret UFO programs run by the government, they weren't really about the UFO phenomenon per se. They were really about ways in which the UFO phenomenon affected their little military programs. Like, for example, I don't know, the DIA or the NSA worrying about that their satellites were tracking all these, you know, fast walkers, they called it, you know, all these unknown objects that were entering the atmosphere, high velocity. And they weren't like, oh my God, what is that? They were just like, okay, so how do we, you know, make sure that our satellites don't interpret that as, I don't know, maybe Soviet missiles launching a strike against the United States. So what we're seeing is that, yeah, most of the time when the military are getting involved with this phenomenon, they're not really interested in getting to the bottom of it. You know, they don't really care that much. They only care about how it affects their programs, and maybe they're trying to find out if they can crack the code of the alien technology per se. And they, in my opinion, they've never managed to do it. You know, they have never figured it out. And even if they have hardware of some sort, as everybody claims, and even Luis Elizondo, you know, alluded in one of those brief mentions of it when he goes on television, on Fox News, on Fox and Friends, on Fox News, and he says, yeah, you know, there's some material, some physical material. But when everybody says, oh, there's physical material UFOs, everybody expects, you know, the goddamn crash saucer from Roswell, you know, like thing that is almost intact and you can just fix a few things and then you can take it for a spin across the solar system. No, maybe they're just a few pieces of things that they, you know, they don't really know what they are or their composition, or even if they have studied the composition, they realize that it doesn't make any sense. Like Vallée studying these pieces as well, and other ufologists, and they're discovering, instead of finding out that it's some kind of like novel material or something that is not present in the periodic table, you know, the chemical chart. Ergo, we could say, oh, it's not from this world. They realize, no, it's actually made from materials and elements that we can find here on Earth, but the isotopic ratio doesn't make. It seems to be that it's not originated naturally, right? Is that what Vallée told us when we interviewed here in Grimerica, probably 4 or 5 years ago? And then I guess they're still trying to see if that isotopic ratio means it can be used for anti-gravity features, or some kind of like cloaking system, invisibility, or maybe something that can create incredibly strong anti-piercing armor for armored vehicles. Which is why now we hear, and the latest development is that the Army is got into a deal with To the Stars because they want to test those materials. And again, it doesn't make any sense, you know. Why are they going to knocking the doors of To the Stars, asking them to test those materials that they're currently in the possession of To the Stars, when supposedly they have hangars full of crashed saucers hidden somewhere, you know? It doesn't really make any sense to me, but I guess part of I feel that I think I'm not making any sense here in this.
No, you are.
jumble
Yeah,
synopsis.
yeah. No, you are.
But maybe one of the reasons why I'm not making any sense is because I feel To the Stars, one of their agendas is to obfuscate and to seed disinformation into the public for whatever reason. Maybe there are multiple reasons. Maybe one of the reasons is because they want people to support further investment into space weaponry for, you know, Donald Trump's Space Force.
Yeah.
You know, one way to do that is to start saying, well, you know, maybe there are threats out there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like an indirect.
space.
It's indirect blue beam, really, and not a direct blue beam, but it's like a drip of, oh yes, there are threats, and now the Army's made a deal, and they can keep all that stuff a little bit more secret now. Some people think, instead of, you know, they can control the information and divide us a little bit. I mean, I have so many questions for you. Like it just. There is a change this time compared to the other times that we experienced in the past, I think, because the media is taking it seriously now. Like 2018 was a quiet year for developments directly, except that the media started to stop laughing. I mean, there was less, you know, X-Files music in the background, and they started talking less about, you know, hoaxes and fake stories and more about real mysteries. But so that the paradigm is starting to change in that way, but it is, the UFO community seems very divided. I mean, I'm glad to see that you're kind of on the skeptical side of this whole thing and not just, you know, buying into the whole thing. But the UFO community itself seems quite divided.
Well, it's too bad 2018 is also the year that everyone lost faith in the media.
That's
and
interesting.
it happened at the same time, right? So the media finally starts taking UFOs seriously, and everyone's like, "These guys don't have a fucking clue what they're talking about."
That's a good point that Darren is raising, because if the New York Times article of December 2017
imagine that's like 98
in 1997, the whole world would have, you know, say what the fuck.
Yeah.
You know, the stock market would have crashed or something to that effect. But the article is printed, and by then there's a sizable chunk of the American population who thinks of the New York Times as fake news because of the way that the President of the United States addresses, you know, journalism.
Or just because of the way they lie. That could be that too.
If you wish, yeah. If you want to go that way, sure.
About a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Whatever the case is, that the impact of printed media has greatly diminished in the past few years. So running a story about UFOs in the New York Times is not as impactful as it used to be, you know, like 20, 30 years ago. I mean, even Stanton Friedman, who we sadly lost this year, he used to talk about the New York Times effect, you know, that skeptical people will say, well, you know, I keep myself informed, I know about science, whatever, and I read the New York Times every morning, and I haven't seen any article on the New York Times about UFOs, therefore I can know that the topic is bunk, you know. And now you will say, well, you can say, well, to the skeptical people, okay, now the New York Times have printed such a story, and it's another interesting development. I don't know if you guys agree with me, but I feel that skeptical movement has become almost irrelevant by now.
What I think a couple of, in some ways, I think they've kind of like, it's weird, like they need to worry about other things now. They don't have time to worry about UFOs. They have to worry about fake news and everything else. And that kind of brings me to my next question is, so if it's not the New York Times, I mean, what the fuck is it? What would make everyone stop nowadays? Because I feel
the
like
scientific community and academia.
would that what it be?
Yeah.
Is that what would it be like? So who, like Stephen Hawking? Isn't he dead? Is he dead? I forget.
Yeah, they shipped him to Mars on that little red hot rod.
He's at the Mars labor camp fighting the insects.
Yeah.
Poor bastard.
I don't know, because you guys are touching on really interesting points about the problems with the concept of disclosure.
Well, yeah, we've like lost faith in everything. You can't even trust video. You can't trust audio. You can't trust the news. You can't trust politicians. You can't trust fucking anything. We've entered the realm of you believe what you want.
And deepfakes is just starting.
Yeah, and so in my opinion, we're kind of like tiptoeing into the realm of believe what you want. I mean, we're back. We might as well be back in the fucking dark ages. Believe in whatever you want, because now there's too much information.
Red was just sort of alluding to that before we started recording, and I'm glad you mentioned that because I wanted him to expand a little bit on how he was just talking about us having to wake up into this illusion where nothing is real in a way. And you're right, because no matter what the topic is, there's so much information. People are just cherry picking their sides. And I mean, I remember talking about this before we started this podcast, like 7 or 8 years ago, expecting everybody to meet in the center to some truth. And it's like, it's worse. It's just everybody going to whatever side they want to reinforce their belief.
Yeah, exactly. So that's going to start to subdivide, I think, into like, that's going to just fragment into the total dissolution of society.
Well, yeah, it's something that we used to talk about. I think I brought it up in one of our old interviews, that suppose that tomorrow some NASA scientist announced that there was some killer asteroid that was 100% sure going to hit the Earth in, I don't know, 5 years or something. We could probably that we could do something about it, but that all the governments in the world will have to get together, work in some kind of plan in order to save humanity. I guarantee you, like 4 years later, there were still people who will be, debating whether, the story was true or not.
Yeah.
All right. And you can start to see it, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Definitely a society cannot exist without any kind of, I don't want to say faith, but one of trust in your basic societal institutions.
That'll be when we turn the control over the machines and we pray into the algos. I mean, in some ways,
the trust is really bad.
And
it's
the
really
algos
off.
are probably fucking racist.
We're already
this
doing
is
it.
A problem.
Are we not?
Well,
I mean,
yeah, in a lot of ways, you are. You're using algos to meet people.
If I have to go to a meeting, and I don't know where the address is, I use Google Maps. I trust myself to the algorithms to get there safely.
Yeah, and to pay your bills.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or to check the news, to check the weather. There's some people have started to allude that. Yeah, where the next step will be to.
The next step will be when the algos start writing the algos, and we don't even know what's going on because they're using some weird machine language.
Yeah.
So that'll be good. That'll be good. I think it'll be okay. I mean, I'm getting to a point where I think I trust the algos more than people.
I'm not sure about that, because those algorithms still have to be programmed.
Yeah,
but now they're going to start programming
unintentional
themselves.
bias.
Yeah, but they'll program that out in like the 4th generation. Even if it takes 1,000 generations of this
Not if they don't want it programmed out. I mean, this is the whole problem. The people that are controlling the algos.
I'm talking about when the algos start making, when the AI starts making.
Well, what if that creates its own bias completely? Then it's,
well, it probably won't be racist though.
It'll
just hate humans in general. We'll have defeated discrimination right before we get wiped out of existence.
Well, the computer will accept all the bias, all the different things about all the different races as fact, not debated in like political. You know,
in the early
racist.
renditions,
the computer will just log all these things and
but
say
it
they're
could
better
be,
at this and not at that. That's
yeah, but
just
it
how
could it's going to improve on itself so quick. It'll be like you'd be doing like 1,000 generations a day. So in like 2 weeks, it should have worked. Although I mean, it's going to be a messy 2 weeks. I'm not, it's not a utopia.
So they don't get full control of the guns in that 2 week period.
No, they've already got at this point. They've already got control of everything, and you just hold on.
I had this idea of some kind of like a sitcom, like the Netflix The Good Place, which in my opinion is one of the best and smartest comedies out there. In
Called
television.
The Good Place?
Yeah.
Okay.
The idea that the AIs take over the world, and everybody obviously at first freak out, but then they realize that the next day the world has turned into a paradise. Global warming is solved. There's no pollution. Everybody's rich. Nobody has to go to work. Everybody has everything they ever wanted. But then they realize that actually that is worse than
the suffering.
Worse than artificial intelligence exterminating humans will be to make us irrelevant. Like humans saying, hey, what's going on? Oh, you have spaceships to go into space. Cool. We want to go and explore. And the AIs, no. We got this. You go and play with your Xbox, human. Yeah.
You're just like the little kids. You're just like, come on,
yeah,
downstairs.
Exactly.
Go on. We're doing adult things here.
They become pets.
Exactly.
Yeah. We're already like pets. I mean, we're already breeding in captivity.
But like,
why?
Extent. Why does the AI want humans to be their pets?
I don't know. Why do you have a pet?
Oh, the same reason that humans like cats.
Well, you kind of have a pet dog, sort of, in a roundabout kind of way.
No, I have fish.
There you go. Why do you have fish?
Because if negative energy is cast towards you, supposedly the fish
will suck it up.
Yeah, totally.
Wow.
It's good to have open water
Cats
in your house. It really is.
Is that why you have cats? Just to suck up the negative energy?
They heal. They heal. They're pretty healing too.
Do you walk your cats?
No.
My cat.
I would have if I caught it when they were younger. I would have done it. Yeah.
If you had caught it. If you caught it when I was younger, did you catch your cats?
You know what I mean. If I would have caught the concept when I was younger, yeah.
That's like the concept of getting him to go to the bathroom in the fucking toilet, right? My buddy Pat, shout out to Pat. I don't think he'll ever listen to this, but my buddy Pat back home, their cat shits in the toilet.
Oh yeah, totally.
It's great.
It's that hard to teach him.
No, he said it wasn't too bad. It took like a month and a half.
Yeah.
Can you do it?
I probably could. I just never.
I'll pay you. I'll pay you to teach my cat to go to the bathroom and toilet. That could be a little side business.
You just put their litter box in your toilet in a little dish.
Yeah, you like
they
have this whole little concept. You put the side and then you like raise it up with a book every couple of days till it's like the same height.
Depends on how smart your cat is.
Yeah, and how old probably too.
You could probably just explain it to a really smart cat, and they would just start doing it.
Yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. So. Should I flush?
I think cats are smarter than us.
If it's brown, flush it down.
So maybe the AI could control the shits in the streets of LA then.
If cats
probably not. That's a human problem.
Yeah.
I mean,
they'd have to start controlling us and where we go. Hey, we're talking about training cats, and we can't
let you guys outside. You shit in the streets. That's it. Now we're confined to a zoo-like atmosphere. Ugh, this is not good. The captivity will just get the captivity will just get more and more solid until the machines take over.
And what if the answer to the UFO problem would only be revealed to artificial intelligence? What if the only way to communicate with a non-human intelligence is through another non-human intelligence?
Well, then we're fucked.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, and I know that Jacques Vallée. I mean, I've been reading Jacques Vallée's Forbidden Science journals. There's four 4 of them so far, and it spans from 1957 to 1999.
Wow.
So 4 decades. And right now they're my favorite UFO books of all time, bar none. One of the things that he explores is, because he's a computer scientist, and he was using artificial intelligence to catalog and analyze UFO data since the 1970s. In 1970s. I mean, of course, this is a guy who was using email in the 1970s, because he was part, among other things, of the ARPANET program, the one that was developed by the defense, by America,
DARPA?
United States Defense Program, to create some kind of internet.
I
And
thought that
he
was Al
was
Gore.
involved. Yeah, he among other things, he was part of Senate committee hearings that informed Al Gore about ARPA, about and all that stuff. But anyway, it's probable that he and some people like him are still using AI in order to parse through the data. And maybe, I don't know, I mean, how about we create AI in order to try to communicate with the UFO system, or to try to take out the bias out of human sightings, human
That's
reports.
interesting.
But if it's all consciousness, then we might be better off just smoking more DMT or something like that,
Well,
or meditating,
that's definitely the way that I roll nowadays. The more that I
Wait,
read
what?
about this.
Yeah, I think the last time we talked to you,
Yeah, just
you
tried
had
the
an
psychedelics
experience
and it
down
didn't
in
work.
Mexico, and it was kind of a dud.
Yeah, and I had another one, which was another dud.
What?
Yeah.
Have you had a non-dud yet?
No, not yet.
All right, motherfucker. You got to come to Canada. You come crash at
No.
my place.
Darren wants to take
and
you.
I guarantee you, we will not dud out. And I now have the facilities I can put you up. You can come and crash my place.
Yeah, well, I'm still open to try it, although I'm also of the opinion that psychedelics is just one of the avenues in which one can gain insight into those inner realms.
I agree.
Maybe it's like the freeway, or like the expressway. But sometimes, there are people who get sick.
You like sometimes you like the back roads and the scenic route.
Graham loves
sometimes
the back
the
roads.
important thing about the journey is those back roads and the things that happen during those scenic routes. Yeah.
So you talked about you were a little skeptical about. It seemed like whatever division of the U.S. or let's say global government or Air Force, military, having access to crashed or other technologies. But what about all the the stuff that we think as a community that humans are flying around in some unidentified craft? And what do you think about it being in the private industry then, and the stuff like that Ben Rich talks, all his, infamous quotes and all that stuff. Like, do you think that it is separated out into is a breakaway civilization? Because I mean, the stuff has been changing over the last few years so much. I mean, has your opinion on that changed at all?
Not sure, and yeah, definitely. That's still a very provocative quote that from Ben Rich when he said, "We now have the technology to bring ET home."
Yeah, or whatever you can imagine, we can do it, and we've built it, or whatever. I mean, those are pretty intense quotes for being 20 years old, at least 25
That was
years
in
old.
the 90s, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah,
I guess that is 20 years.
Yeah, and alongside TTSA's development, there's also been other developments of surrounding the patents that have been awarded to a scientist that works for the U.S. Navy, a guy by the name of Salvatore Zizar Pais. and you check into those patents, and this guy is basically patenting
Internal
Star Trek
internal
stuff.
mass reduction device stuff.
Yeah,
Mass
and
reduction.
things that can almost like warp space and time, and he has also patented some kind of like fusion reactor systems, and also the most important one is he also allegedly patented some kind of like what is the name of this when it doesn't offer resistance, superconducting materials that can operate above almost like a normal temperatures, you know. Because if you can get that, you know, you can pretty much do anything. And there's been investigators looking into these patents, you know, like Tyler Rowaway, who writes for The Drive,
Mm-hmm.
and seeing that and saying, what the hell? Because this technology is clearly science fiction. He's shown those patents to scientists who understand the implications, who understand the technical data that is inside those papers. And all of them say, well, this is clearly bullshit. You know, this cannot be true.
But it came from the Navy, right?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll get to that. I mean, I also showed. I follow a scientist in Twitter, Miguel Alcubierre. You know, probably the name, his last name may ring a bell because every time you know, TV shows talk about a way to create a functional warp drive, you know, something that could actually fold space in ways that we could go to another star system in a very short amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
They talk about the Alcubierre warp drive, you know, about these theories that this guy developed in the 90s, in which he showed that technically you could create something that could fold, you know, space and time in a way that you could make it like a space-time bubble around the ship, you know, that could go and in a way negate the
Time and
limits of
distance. Yeah. You're pulling
Exactly.
you're pulling it towards you instead of you traveling through it.
You create gravity
Exactly.
bubbles.
Yeah.
the
Gravity
exactly.
wells.
I sent a link to Miguel Alcubierre about those patents, saying, okay, what do you think of this? You know, and he said, well, I think it's clearly not true, because if this guy claims he has created such a system that can negate gravity, you know, he will be awarded the Nobel Prize. So then the question
Only
is,
if it runs on petrol.
why is it that the U.S. Navy requested the U.S. Office of Patents to be awarded to grant those patents to one of their scientists? One of the things that they said, you know, one of those naval officers who sent the request to the Office of Patents, is they told them, we have basis we know for a fact, or we have information that China has been working in this technology. So we need this patent, because otherwise United States is gonna fall behind.
Those are lame arguments. I mean, both that argument and the
Totally.
other argument that, you know, the guy would have a Nobel Prize is ridiculous. I mean,
Yeah, but if China patented it first, that would be bad. My question is, if in him patenting it, will it open up development of these technologies, or will it stop it completely?
Exactly.
That's my question.
Yeah.
But
Patent trolls. Right?
what if the patents are just a game? What if it's just
Exactly.
part of an operation?
How to hide the technology, right?
No. What if Graham, hear me out. What if the technology doesn't really exist, and United States wants their enemies to waste precious time and resources,
Trying to get to the moon.
pursuing, some pie in the sky thing that will never really work.
Like getting to the moon.
Some people have said that the real reason behind the Ronald Reagan's Star Wars program, back in the 80s, all those the space defense systems, anti-missile lasers that they were supposedly going to put on space, right?
Yep.
And they never managed to actually develop the technology. But some people say that the real reason behind the program was to make the Soviets think that Star Wars was going to happen, so they had to keep up, and then the purpose of the program was to bankrupt the Soviet Union.
Yeah, that's pretty tricky. I mean, that's tricky. I understand the concept, but I mean, you're taking a chance that somebody doesn't make a breakthrough and just go way past where you are. I mean, and the mystery of still who's flying around in those massive black triangles. I mean, it's not all aliens, so
maybe they just inflate me with a big balloon.
I think what Red's saying is
true.
To a point.
Exactly. Darren's touching an interesting point, because in Forbidden Science Volume 4, I still haven't finished it, but Valet talks to several people, in the government, especially one who was part of the Senate Office of Appropriations. Those guys who were supposed to overlook the black budget programs, right?
Yeah.
What is the name? Richard D'Amato. Yeah. And Richard D'Amato was absolutely certain that those Belgian triangles that were seen in the 1990s were man-made secret prototypes, operated by NATO with no jurisdiction and totally illegally.
By NATO.
And I heard, that maybe these were some kind of like rigid, lighter than air structures, which had their propulsion system on top, so people wouldn't see it. So, and people were testing it. It's a really interesting idea, and after reading this, I have to consider it more and more. I still have problems with it because testing such a type of technology on a populated area on a foreign country, in my opinion, represents a lot of problems. What if one of those, dirigibles suffers a malfunction? What if it crashes down on some?
Yeah, or what if the plane's coming and trying to intercept it? I mean, what if the wrong person sees it and they've got a direct connection to fly those guys in and intercept it? I mean, that's a risk too.
And then knock down.
Especially if you can only float away like a balloon. I mean.
Yeah, but more and more Forbidden Science, these journals talk about how many of the UFO cases that we revere and take for granted could have been part of some obscure Psyops operation, by some American agency, including intrusions to United States Air Force bases and nuclear silos.
Oh yeah.
There's a passage in which Dr. Kit Green was part of the CIA. He was
like the Fox Mulder, wasn't he? Kind
of, yeah. Well, or maybe you're thinking of Ron Pandolfi, who was kind of like his successor.
Right. Okay.
But Kit Green tells Valet in one of the part of the journals, I think it was in the 1980s, that he, in a trip to Thailand, he met a guy who was like some kind of like mercenary that used to work for any kind of people who pay his contract. And this guy told Kit Green that one of the things he did was entering into the airspace of nuclear silos using silent helicopters as some kind of like program. I will like to think that maybe some kind of program to try to use detectors, inside those secret helicopters, or maybe it was some kind of psyop operation to try to see if they could do the same in a Russian base. I don't know, but it raises the question about many of the cases that we take for granted, such as Rendlesham.
Yeah. And the Belgian one, yeah.
Yeah, maybe we need to entertain the possibility that Rendlesham was some kind of psyop run by the United States on their own people.
Well, that would explain Pope's, role in it, because he seems to be, and he comes straight out of the government.
Mm-hmm.
So was Pope always involved in Rendlesham? I don't know enough about UFOs to know. I know we had him on the show to talk about Rendlesham, but I don't know if he was like on boots on the ground.
Well, he was in the UK. Like he was kind of like the Fox Mulder of the UK way back before that.
A lot of Fox Mulder references.
But he was
today.
involved with the Ministry of Defense UFO desk until the 1990s, and Rendlesham happened in 1980.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Afterwards. Yeah. I thought it was the other way around. Yeah.
Interesting.
So, I mean,
we had the Octagon doctor
in
the chats, and he was saying that he wonders how far ahead he wonders what kind of medical patents the U.S. military has for like editing genes and stuff like that.
20 and back program.
What's that?
I don't know. Corey Good talks about the 20 and back program.
Let's not get into that.
It's funny though.
It is funny
that they sign you up. They take you when you're like 17.
I mean, the last show we did
20
was,
years out there, and you come back, and they put you back in your 17-year-old body again, and off you go to live your life with all these benefits.
After doing 20 years on Mars.
Yeah,
fighting the insects.
Yeah, if that's what you're.
Or do you have to fight the insects, or is there other people that fight the insects while you work?
I'm sure they have really cool machines that they drive around.
I can handle driving a machine.
Yeah, so it wouldn't be that bad.
That sounds great. I have trouble with the Corey Good stuff, though. Yeah. I mean, the last episode was we had a couple people comment that the last episode was a little Corey Good-ish.
I just think it's fun. It's like Star Trek.
Which last episode?
Stivelman.
Oh, Red Pill Junkie did a review of that. It was a fantastic review of that movie.
Oh, did he?
And I don't think that was near Corey Good at all.
It wasn't even.
No, I'm just expressing my.
Okay.
I think it was pretty normal, that one. I mean, how could it even be? That was pretty normal as far as ufology goes. I mean, that wasn't even, it was more of a human interest story, really.
I thought so, too.
Maybe when we started talking about inner Earth and exploring,
Did we get into that?
Earth. Yep.
Huh.
Yeah, because Alan Stivelman wants to, that's his next project. He wants to go check out the inner Earth. What?
Did you say A?
A? Yeah.
Nice little sneak in the A. I would go to inner Earth with Alan Stivelman.
Yeah.
Set it up. You in, Red?
Yeah, sounds like an interesting project. The idea of at least investigating these myths, because they're everywhere.
It'd be way cooler.
Lost cities, in the Amazon or in the Andes, and even here in Mexico, there's also talked about hidden tunnels. Well, here in Mexico, in the city of Teotihuacan, there's all these hidden tunnels beneath the pyramids, beneath the temples, and archaeologists are still using small robots to try to investigate those tunnels, because they're still trying to find out where the tombs of the rulers of the rulers of that city are hidden, and yeah, I mean, I am of the opinion that myths always have a kernel of truth. Even something like Atlantis, that's something that like so outlandish, but thanks to people like Graham Hancock, something like that can be thrown into a new perspective, something that it could be plausible. The idea, maybe some kind of really advanced civilization that just was destroyed by the end of the the Younger Dryas, and maybe that was what gave rise to the myth of Atlantis. So yeah, I'm really, really interested in see what Alan Stivelman will come up next. Maybe I can ask him for a job.
You should do it, man. You should fucking ask him for a job. Maybe
you
could
like
write
that
for him or something. Yeah, I would chase him down. I'm just the entrance to Inner Earth. How come it can't be in
Well, if you're gonna storm Area
Bolivia?
51, why don't you storm everybody flash mobs this entrance
to the Inner Earth?
Yeah. So everybody on their smartphone.
It's fucking cold.
It takes 3 weeks to get down there.
You get the coordinates and you
tunnel,
get 3 days, and you have to be there.
And you got to go through Antarctica or the North Pole. That's cold, man.
I don't know. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're not all there.
If we're gonna storm someplace,
places.
We should storm
Maybe
the
there's
Vatican.
one here in Banff.
If we're gonna storm someplace, we should storm the Vatican.
No, that's worse than Area 51.
Or the Smithsonian.
No.
Have you heard of any medical devices or any of that technology in the UFO research, Red?
Well,
back
we
to
know
that question in the
chat. Tyler, that anonymous individual that was kind of the center of Diana Pasulka's book American Cosmic. We know that he has a biomedical company that allegedly he uses his I don't know what you call it, a gift, his ability to receive information from the aliens in order to
diagnose,
get these patents.
Oh, wow.
Who is this? I'm sorry.
There's a book that came out called American Cosmic or Cosmic America or something like that, and this guy in there, he's talking about Tyler as a biomedical company, and he receives info on patents.
Well, that's the idea that he I guess you could use the word download.
Yeah.
Right. He gets into that kind of like.
That's just a new word for channeling, though, right?
Pretty much.
Exactly. Yeah. You're right. I'm using euphemisms for what used to be called channeling in the 19th century. The same thing. Now, what's interesting is to learn that there's people in those respectable companies that are actually still using that kind of methods. But maybe we shouldn't be so surprised. How many 500 company executives still check out their horoscope?
Only if they're billionaires. The millionaires don't bother, but the billionaires do.
Exactly. Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah.
There's something to that. In the 1970s. In the 1970s, there were all those people who wanted to commercially exploit psychic phenomena. That they thought that they're gonna come up with some kind of like commercial application for all the research that was conducted by the Stanford Research Institute, SRI, when they were under the contract by the Pentagon, and then and then they went through different phases. Hal Puthoff was part of it at one point with Russell Targ. Then Puthoff got out. He went to Austin and to create his own company and get involved with 0 Point Research and all that. And then the Stargate program was under the supervision of Dr. Ed May. And there were a lot of people who thought that all these things, back when psychotronic was a very in vogue term, that they were going to use this research to come up with some kind of like actual applicable technology. And as far as we know, they didn't manage to do that, although maybe we have to entertain the possibility that they actually did, but they are keeping it on the wraps.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, you never know. What about the deep state aspect to this whole UFO thing over the last couple of years? Like Hillary and Podesta were going to be the disclosure, politicians. And then that kind of got ruined. And then, and then the TTSA comes out after, like, they end up coming out. The CIA, the CIA ends up doing this anyways, almost like a backup plan. And then Trump comes out with the Space Force. I mean, is there a bit of do you think there's a bit of a battle there on over disclosure?
A good question. And part of the narrative that's been used by Elizondo and DeLong, even that was part of one of the episodes in their series Unidentified. I want to say this is the last episode, when DeLong and Elizondo go to the Pentagon to talk to the people who are still running that program, and Elizondo is shown saying that some of the people he used to work with weren't too happy by how he quit and how he went public with all of this. So, yeah, they want to maybe propagate the narrative that there are several factions at play here. That one of those factions, maybe the old timers, people who are in their 70s or 80s, and they don't want any kind of disclosure. And maybe there are a new guard of young guns who are every so often trying to push for disclosure. This is something that even Grant Cameron has talked about, how every few years there are these initiatives and people going and talking to someone like Robert Emenegger and offering him the footage of this craft that allegedly, landed at Holloman Air Force Base in the 1970s.
Yeah.
And they're always saying that, and they always promising the big piece, the big the big clue or
the smoking
the serial
gun,
the smoking gun, and they never produce it, right? And maybe you could say, well, there are people who are pushing for disclosure, there are others who don't, and because of political turmoil, all those plans never managed to pan out. Emenegger's contacts in the Air Force used the excuse of Nixon's Watergate as to why they couldn't go on with their plans to release this information to the public. And then I read in Valle's Forbidden Science how whatever material UFO hardware were in the hands of the Air Force, they farmed it out by the time of the Iran-Contra scandal, because they didn't want journalists, poking around and finding out things.
Yeah.
So, and these people are also alluding to the possibility that the big secret is not really in the hands of the government, but it's in the hands of private contractors. That at one point, that smoking gun, that, UFO hardware, those, pickled aliens, they were transferred from military facilities to the warehouses of private contractors.
Skunk works.
Away from the public scrutiny, safe from FOAI requests like those made by investigators like John Greenwald.
Yeah.
And, maybe part of that, you could say that a bit of evidence to that effect is when in that December 2017 article that we've been discussing so much, they mentioned Robert Bigelow. And they mentioned how Robert Bigelow won that ATIP contract or OSAP. And one of the things he did is to expand his facilities at his Bigelow Aerospace company in order to store materials. They never explain what kind of materials. They never explain how big these materials are that they need to build a new warehouse.
Or that he was friends with Harry Reid, who gave him the money. or
Yeah,
not who
people
gave
say
them, but
maybe
you know.
it was kind of some honeypot deal, right? In exchange for campaign money. I don't know.
That's why I don't understand why they're so sloppy about this whole thing. I mean, they use fake pictures in a lot of their propaganda and advertising. They lied about some of the name changes and stuff like that. There's other lies in there. There's questions about Lou, and then there's a bunch of people in the UFO community that don't ask all the hard questions. Like why is it so sloppy?
Well, maybe that's the intended result they wanted.
Yeah.
They want they
want all the questions, all the open-ended mysteries or whatever.
Yeah, that maybe there are some people in the government who, for whatever reasons, like to see ufologists running around like chickens without a head, pursuing first Majestic 12 and then the alien autopsy videos, and now we're running around ATIP's propaganda. What is the ultimate goal? I do not know. Maybe we'll learn about it 20 years down the road. Maybe in the end we'll realize that it was all part of some kind of like psychological operation. That maybe doesn't have anything to do with UFOs. It's possible. The same way that all the myths surrounding the Dulce underground base that started to circulate in ufology in the 1980s, the real reason behind those myths was to veer the attention of Paul Benowitz and all the people who will listen to him away from the secret programs that were being carried out by several agencies at the Kirtland Air Force Base and the Manzano weapons storage facility. Things like when they were developing systems to blind Russian satellites using very powerful lasers, that will shoot the beam in order to like fry the optical sensors of these satellites. And that technology was also used in order to improve the accuracy of telescopes here on Earth. That was a great advance for modern astronomy. That had nothing to do with UFOs, but it was one of the things that we're doing there.
Yeah, it also created a whole whack of gray warrior conspiracies, underground bases. I mean, it was also an opportunity to discredit a whole bunch of other phenomena and mysteries.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that the United States government doesn't understand the UFO phenomenon doesn't mean they won't try to exploit the phenomenon for their own purposes.
Yeah. Well, do you think that this is more of a my sense is that some of the intention behind this could be to unite the world under some kind of global, threat, maybe global program, money. It's a way to pull money. Like there isn't enough money getting pulled through the military-industrial complex already, but now into this program,
fake space lasers.
Doing all kinds of. I mean, I don't know. They've wasted so much black budget money, but there's, maybe the drug money is running out. Maybe they're they're getting busted for too many. They need another way to funnel everybody's money into black projects.
Interesting you mentioned that because, again, in another passage of Forbidden Science, you can see I'm obsessed with these books, right?
Are they actual books or are they papers, like from articles from?
Papers. Yeah. No, they're big, fat, 400 plus books.
Can people get a hold of them at all, or?
Sure.
Yeah, they're online. Yeah.
Yeah, the last one was released in 2019.
Oh, okay.
And in one of those, actually, I think it was in the last one or the third one, this guy, Dr. Kit Green, the guy who used to work for the CIA, he went to look for a secret Pentagon program, that wasn't even listed in their SAPs, right? Their SAPs, because some of his contacts told him, "Oh, that's the UFO group." So he went and knocked on the door of these guys, and it turned out the program had nothing to do with UFOs, but they were developing what he called low observable craft, basically stealth helicopters that were used for anti-drug operations.
In quotes, anti.
Sure. Yeah, or maybe they were used for pro-drug operations during the Contra deal.
Running drugs.
Mm-hmm. But you see, how even people in the know, they are also sometimes looking for answers, and they don't find them, and I feel maybe that's the case with people like Hal Puthoff and Kit Green and people who are with the TSA. We here are assuming that these guys have all the answers, that they're going to release them to the public. Maybe they don't have a clue yet. Maybe
they're on the edge. I feel like they're on the edge, but they might not be in the know. They're being used or something. I don't know.
Yeah, but compartmentalization is very effective.
Yeah, very effective, and at the same times, well, they're very effective to keep the secret, but not necessarily to make advances in the programs. For example, one of the another thing that the Vallée studied was this secret project that was run by McDonnell Douglas in the 1970s. They were trying to figure out a way the UFO propulsion system, right? Oh, and get this, Stanton Friedman was that part of that program.
Really?
Oh yeah.
When he was a nuclear physicist, or
nuclear? No, yeah. Nuclear physicist, famous ufologist. The late Stanton Friedman was part of a secret program run by McDonnell Douglas. That were trying to find out how UFOs run. But here's the thing. Eventually, according to one of the administrators who talked to Vallée, they didn't get anywhere with it, right? And Vallée told that guy, "Why didn't you come to meet me and Hynek? Because we were the ones with the only reliable global database of sightings," right? Because these guys, this private UFO program, they were trying to get a hold of UFO data through civilian UFO groups like APRO, CUFOS, on all that, right?
Yeah.
So maybe that's another thing that's behind to the stars. That they've been talking about releasing some kind of phone app that people could download and keep on their phones, so they could send their reports directly to the stars. Basically, they want to be to the stars. Want to be the new MUFON, right?
Well, my buddy Michael from Vancouver wants us to. He wants to create an app very similar to that one, but you could also triangulate sightings on it. Like if you're on the app and you saw something, you could, other people would be notified, and then and then you could, everybody could triangulate that sighting, and then report it. I mean,
what people like us don't often realize is that intelligence groups, secret groups, they're always desperate to get their hands on that information.
Yeah.
They don't get that information by them. Sometimes they have to knock on the doors of UFO groups like NICAP, APRO,
MUFON,
CUFOS. Vallée mentions in his journals that after J. Allen Hynek died, the offices of CUFOS were ransacked, and many of the files were lost.
Wow, that's crazy.
And maybe what these guys, the To the Stars, want is they want to consolidate themselves as the number one UFO organization in the world. Although now they're not calling themselves a UFO group.
Yeah, that's another issue.
UAP is? Did they go to UAP?
Oh, they just bypassed the whole thing. Now there's some.
Yeah, a new one.
Yeah, because the intelligence community, they want to bypass the annoying UFO groups. The annoying
the people asking all the tough questions.
As you do.
Yeah.
So they bypass the UFO people and the UAP people?
Yeah.
So what? Okay.
They just bypass the whole phenomenon.
What's the
now
acronym?
it's now they're just an entertainment. What do they call themselves now?
A conglomerate.
What? So did they pick up the UFO people and the UAP people, and now they're a conglomerate of those and the TTSA people? The Tata for nows?
The Stars is a weird hybrid, man. It's a weird animal, because they say that they want to fund their serious UFO research through entertainment venues.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh boy.
Yeah. So you don't know what to believe on
this
half
is
the
a
shit.
slippery slope.
Yeah.
So they're going to be a special effects company.
Yeah. Even Alan Hynek at some point entertained the idea of funding his UFOs group through entertainment. They wanted to produce some documentaries starring him. They wanted to produce, get this, they wanted to produce some kind of like TV show, like 20 Questions, about surrounding, about UFOs. Some kind of like one of those prize contest shows. And the people who approached him were guys who had another show called Tic Tac. So there's a literally interesting synchronicity.
Yeah, that is.
But yeah, every time UFO groups want to use entertainment to try to fund their serious investigations, they always lose credibility. Look what happened to MUFON with their Hangar One TV show.
Yeah.
Right. Everybody said, "What the hell? This is not a serious scientific investigation." MUFON has become a carnival show.
Really?
And how can we take To the Stars seriously, while at the same time they're also peddling
fiction books?
Well,
fiction
I
books
thought we could take MUFON more seriously than To the Stars. I didn't know MUFON was a joke. I was still under the impression MUFON was like the go-to. Like, I mean, from my perspective as a non-UFO guy, I'm looking at To the Stars as a fucking joke from day one.
Here's the thing with MUFON. MUFON is the problem with all big organizations. At one point, their sole reason to exist is to keep on existing, to keep on
like the government
gathering funds to pay their board of directors, to pay their offices, to pay their rent, right? And then they're, because of that, they fall victim to a lot of shenanigans. Like, for example, when Bob Bigelow came to their offices with a checkbook open and saying, "Okay, how much? I'm going to fund your project, your activities for a limited amount of time." And that's when they started their, what they called it, their star team. Remember their star was, that was all paid by Robert Bigelow. And then Robert Bigelow, according to some researchers like Jack Brewer, they also told MUFON, "Oh, by the way, you guys are sitting on a lot of very interesting information of alien abductions. Can I get a copy of that?" And apparently he did get a copy of that, which was kind of like illegal, because that information, some of those people who gave that information to MUFON, the abductees, they did so under the assumption that it wasn't going to be shared by anyone. They was going to be kept anonymous.
And then there's the other side. I think the other side of it was they also wanted. I think there was less public data available after the funding as well, right? From the STAR team or whatever. It seemed to me like there was an issue with not being able to allow information out to the public like they used to.
Right. I mean, and even today, you know, I mean, you go to the MUFON and they will tell you, yeah, all the information that we gather, all the reports are proprietary information. You know, if right after we finish the recording,
proprietary,
a big ass giant UFO on the street, and you report that to MUFON,
they own it.
They own it.
So my sighting's gone from the night. I reported it,
so
and it's gone. I can't. It's not even in the database.
UFO story on the show, and we could get sued because you've given the rights to MUFON.
Well, I don't know about that.
Well, it's proprietary.
It's that, I don't know. But they definitely can use it in whatever way they wish.
Yeah.
To make movies.
You know? Yeah. I mean,
they don't have an obligation, a public obligation to release that information.
I think it's important also not to lose sight of all the good that's come from all this as well. Like, you know, there's way more of a spotlight on the whole phenomena. I think there's a lot of people that were on the fence before that now, just because of TTSA and the New York Times, are now at least, you know, believing a little bit more. The skeptics have sort of fallen into the background. They have less to really do with the whole thing now, like Red was saying earlier. And I mean, it really is, the paradigm is changing faster than ever. So I think there's always the risk with these things that it could backfire on people, I think. I mean, you know, as soon as, who knows what's going to happen with our culture and how open people are becoming to talking about their experiences and their sightings, and, you know, just a matter of time before more people see more stuff and people accept it, and then the scientific community jumps on board, and then, you know, then disclosure's out of their hands before they get to do the fake alien invasion.
Just a matter of time. We're talking about 3 weeks, 6 weeks.
No, it's like a few years, right? What do you think about that?
Let's pick some dates. You know, we would have never guessed 7 years ago that us three would even still be fucking doing a podcast 7 years later. So let's pick some disclosure
Well, I want to hear,
dates.
first of all, I want to hear what Rad has to say about the positive aspect of it.
Yeah, I can say everything has been negative. And of course, like I told you guys, like, maybe some 15-year-old kid who gets all excited about all of these because of Tom DeLonge, because he used to be a Blink-182 fan, and then he learns about this. Maybe he will get disappointed in the end, because that's something that always happens. You know, at one point you get a falling out with this stuff because it doesn't, you know, rise to your expectations, like you said, you know, like, oh yeah, I thought that by the year 2000 the aliens were going to land in the White House, you know, and it hasn't happened yet. And then you learn more about it, and you read things like, I don't know, Skinwalker Ranch, and you read things about you stumble upon information like Mike Clelland's blog.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you realize, holy shit, this thing is actually bigger than you know, little
physical phenomena.
Yeah. Yeah. And if that comes because you first started with Tom DeLonge, yeah, then definitely that's positive. I can admit that my interest in UFOs started out of hoax material when Jaime Maussan here in Mexico was promoting the Billy Meyer stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then I realized, oh my God, all those photos are bullshit, and Billy Meyer is a wacko or is a liar. And I could have said, well, that means that the whole UFO business is a bunch of BS, but I didn't. You know, I still kept fascinated by it. And then you learn that some of the things that you used to believe in the past were probably not true. The Gulf Breeze case of the 1990s, or circles and all that stuff, the Bob Lazar, Area 51. But you realize that no matter what, there's still something beneath it all. There's still a core mystery behind UFOs. And if you use that mystery in order to keep pushing forward in search of answers, and you learn about physics, and you learn about
consciousness,
theology, biology, psychology, mythology, you know, and consciousness study, and you stumble upon the work of people like Gene Radin, and you realize, oh my God, yeah. Aside from the fact that Uri Geller is kind of like a con artist, there's actually something about psychic research that is worth pursuing. And all of a sudden you realize that even though the UFO field is littered with a lot of hoaxes and misinformation, there's still something valuable beneath all the pile of shit, if you have the disposition and the stomach to keep digging into it.
That was very well said.
Yeah, and you know what? If you would have went through the whole like the last 20 years with no expectations, you'd be thrilled.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a really healthy attitude. If you go and say, I'm going to look into it without any expectations, or even without pretending that I'm going to find any answers to it, you'll probably end up benefiting the most about the UFO stuff than people who get obsessed with it to the point that things like disclosure and supporting a certain case or a certain personality becomes their whole identity.
Yeah.
Right? And then when they realize that that person maybe wasn't what they were expecting, they can have a real nasty crisis of faith, and then maybe they go to the other side, you know, and they become zealot skeptics. You know, that's happened many times with people in the field.
Yeah, and you know what they say: expectations are just resentments under construction.
Well, that's a good one. You know what I was gonna say is that it goes way beyond. Wait, fuck you. It goes way beyond UFOs, because that's like, what's the quote is, happiness is reality minus expectations.
Oh yeah, that's a good one too. Yeah,
that's a good one too. Yeah.
Now let's hear yours, Michael. Do you have one for us? No. Anything else?
That's about it.
That's probably
think.
good. That was fantastic. Wrap
it
up. Graham's got a hockey game to get to through the blizzard. We got a blizzard here. I think it stopped blizzarding, hopefully. But man, it's been great to have you back, Red. We got
I had one.
Oh, Michael
perked
up.
Epstein didn't kill himself.
I like it. Yeah, Red, it's been great to have you back. Can we like not wait 4 years for the next time?
Unless disclosure happens tomorrow, then we are all shipped to Zeta Reticula on the next, slave ship.
I'm hoping they'll let me stay on the reserve.
What's the over/under on that?
Yeah. 0.00000. Let's say no. Let's do this like we should get back.
Yeah, we should do it again, like another
6
6 months or 3 or 4 months.
6 months, yeah, something like that. Get you to be
Sounds
a regular guest again.
Yeah, keep up the awesome writing there and keep us in touch with what you're doing.
Thanks. Yeah.
And let's chat offline about getting you to not have a dud here the next time. We'll get together. No duds.
All right,
Red. Come back anytime, brother.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right,
Nice to
buddy.
meet you.
Okay.
Bye for now.
Bye.
As a chat, one and only Red Pill Junkie. What'd you think?
Our PJ, that was fun. That was good.
Can't believe it's been so long.
Yeah, me neither. I don't think it's been 4 years. It's probably been 2 or 3 or something.
But
it was. I think it was before before soft disclosure. You know, before December. We're coming up on the 2 year.
I can tell you exactly when it was. It was early 2017.
There you go. So it was before that. Yeah.
So it was like 2.5 years ago.
2.5 years. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what is this date that's coming up when that article came out. That could be like that little, the BCE, of ufology.
What's the date again?
I don't know. December 18th or something like that. 17th maybe.
This year?
December?
No, of 2017.
Oh.
So we'll be coming up on the 2 year anniversary of that.
Of BC?
Of disclosure. Yeah.
Of AD of disclosure?
AD
after disclosure?
yeah.
Oh, fuck off. Oh, speaking of that,
well, that was
we had that book.
So
yeah, Dolan's book.
Yeah. How have we not had Dolan on the show yet?
He's all in on TTSA. He doesn't want to come on because he knows that Alex is going to beat the shit out of him about this.
Alex who?
Alex Sakaris. He's coming on with us if we get Dolan on.
Oh, is that why Dolan won't come on?
Probably.
Well, we could have Dolan on without
Dolan would never.
Sakaris.
He's too hard to get a hold of.
Anyway.
No, we should have Alex with us because he wanted it. That's still part. We owe Alex that.
We
interview.
do owe him that.
He came to Calgary, didn't he?
Who, Dolan?
Yeah.
When? Recently?
It was like 2 or 3 years ago.
Oh, yeah. I probably saw
Did
him
you
there.
go to that?
Yeah, I think
Was
so.
at the airport?
No, I didn't go there.
At the airport?
Yeah, there's the conference centers there.
Oh, in the hotel.
It's a cheap, easy way to fly in.
Yeah, do the conference.
Do a lecture.
Definitely
Yeah,
not. Definitely
exactly.
not cheap.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
For the guest,
No, for the
person
guy.
who's
Yeah,
lecturing.
for the guy to come in.
as
Just,
long as they put you up and everything. Yeah,
No, it's
because
expensive for us.
the conference hall at that airport is not fucking cheap.
Yeah.
anyways, yeah, it was good to chat with Red
Great to
again.
have RPJ back. I'm sure you
Yep.
guys are thrilled to have him. Find him on Twitter. Shoot him some love. That's red_pill_junkie.
Yeah, he's always blogging for the Daily Grail as well.
Right.
Contributing
Check out the
there.
Daily Grail. You know, I have a couple blogs on the Daily Grail. I forget what my
Your name was?
I forget
Your
what-
alias was?
I forget what my blog name was. I had one on out of
Probably
place artifacts, and I had another one on flood myths.
Wow.
And I was like, this sucks. I'm going to just start a podcast. Support the show. Grimerica.ca/support. We need support because we need support. That's how we run this shit. We don't have any ads. We don't have any corporate sponsorship. We don't have any affiliate programs. We don't have anything. We got you guys and your kindness and your love and hopefully a couple bucks if you can see so fit. Head over to grimerica.ca/support today. Sign up for a monthly. We got PayPal, we got Patreon, and we got Stripe. Some people send cash in books. Some people just send cash. Whatever works, whatever's clever. If you want to get us some cash and you're a little hung up on how you're going to do it, email Graham, email me. We'll figure out a way to get some cash here one way or another because that's how we pay for all of this.
Yeah, we like getting other emails too. And Darren's on the Twitters and I'm on Instagram. And email stories and sightings and synchronicities and all that good stuff.
Spam Graham.
I'm Graham. GRAHAM at Grimerica.com.
I think I made the other one as a forwarder anyway, just in case.
Graham, actual Graham.
Yeah, but that might have all fallen apart when we went over to Microsoft. I don't know. Then James disappeared.
Just like our P.O. box disappeared off the site too.
I put it back.
Okay, good.
I think. Let's
yeah,
check.
P.O. box is back on the site.
I'm still not impressed
Live
that you
check.
did that on the show.
Live check. I know.
He tricked me and he trolled me on the show, this motherfucker.
No, I
just
didn't
listening
trick
to that.
him.
It was good.
He
He did
didn't
it
believe
really
me.
well.
He genuinely didn't believe me. I'm like, I'm telling you, dude, it wasn't a trick.
Here it
just-
is.
No, you said
Oh,
that
good.
you saved
There you
it
go.
for the show.
Yeah. Oh, did I?
Yeah, you said specifically.
Well, it
you
wasn't
that you
supposed to be a
saved
trick.
it just
still.
so you
I mean,
could
I
trick
just-
Did I
the
try
show.
this? Does this work? Let's
Did
see
I
if
even
this
say
works.
trick?
Yeah, you-
Called him out or something like.
You
called
said,
you
"I've
out
been
on the
saving it
show,"
for
and
the
you
show
said, "I've been
so
saving
I
it
could
to
call you out."
Yeah.
Sorry.
I just listened to it.
That's so good.
I don't mind. I'm a big boy. I'm doing a test.
Yeah.
Test. Does this go to you or me, or does it go nowhere? It says it went someplace.
All right, good. Okay,
Let's see
try
who
that
gets
out.
the test
All
email.
right.
So yeah, support the show, grimerica.ca/support. There's the thing on the contact page, grimerica.ca/contact. We got our phone number there, the text line 403-702-60. Actually, that number's wrong. Don't use the number on the contact page. It's actually 6083, not 8083. Let's wrap it up there. All right, guys. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next week.
Ciao.
That was a burn, eh? Fuck.
That was what?
I burned myself. You're still alive. You're out of here? You're not going to say goodbye to live people? Grandma's hockey.
See you guys. Awesome. Thanks
Hockey already?
Nice.
It just started
Hockey.
snowing.
for. Yeah.
Maybe I should just start playing hockey with you.
It's
Ponds
ball
aren't
hockey. It's
even
all year
frozen.
round.
Oh, that's not fair.
I'm not into ball.
Isn't that called soccer?
Yeah, pretty much. Except you have a stick. It's like lacrosse. Anyway, thanks for tuning in live. We're out of here. We'll see you guys. We'll be back to Wednesday next week. I think it's a double. So next week will be like another 4 or 5 hour marathon.